Hello, welcome back to the MediMobile Podcast. I'm Emily, your host for today, and a market. Oh my gosh, we're gonna cut that. I'm just gonna restart. Hello, welcome back to the MediMobile Podcast. I'm Emily, your host for today, and a marketing specialist here at MediMobile. This is your first time listening or you're unfamiliar with MediMobile. We are a healthcare technology company that offers a wide range of solutions from AI automated medical coding to data hub services, all with the goal in mind to increase our customers' revenue. Today, we are covering our charge review system. It provides essential tools for accurate and rapid charge completion. Today, joining us are Lauren and Cameron from our sales team. They're going to walk you through everything the system has to offer. Cameron, why don't you start us off with the first question?
Absolutely. So, welcome to our podcast today. We're going to be discussing charge review. Last week, we talked about how our AI is transforming doctors and providers' lives and getting them home early. So today, we want to talk about our charge review platform that is really doing the same, except in this instance, it's going to be helping builders and coders. So Lauren, I want to ask you our first question, and that is, when does MediMobile Charge Review come into play?
So, charge review comes into play after the providers have entered their CPT and diagnosis codes into our system, or after our AI actually adds those CPT and diagnosis codes to the charges. The charges then cross over into charge review. So, charge review is typically used by the billers and coders within the organization, and this is where the intersection of clinical documentation and billing processes come in to the process. It is beneficial for all pieces of the practice as it helps streamline the process to get the encounters out the door and get the practice reimbursed as quickly as possible.
Got it. Awesome. And how does it streamline the processes for clinicians and coders?
So let me actually show you our charge review.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is our charge review screen. So we are able to divide up the sites or specialties or practices utilizing our practice dropdown, which helps keep everything very organized. And then we provide various statuses or buckets to organize the charges based off of the biller and coder workflow. We have a queue-based review system that does provide that efficient reviewing process. Within our charge review system, once the queue has been drilled down utilizing the various options, the revenue cycle team members may click on their charge. And the very first tab they'll see is this patient demographic tab, where the information we receive through the ADT or the demographic feed will populate that information into the demographic feed.
Okay.
I'm sorry. The information from the ADT feed, which are the patient demographics, will pre-populate into this patient tab, allowing the reconcilers to review the information. And then this payer tab right here allows for insurance mapping, which will decrease the number of errors within the billing system related to insurance. We'll load the master insurance list into this payer tab, where the users can select the insurance package and then check used for future patients, where they don't have to go through the mapping again.
Got it. And then is there so you have UHC in there, so is there like a certain insurance that we work with, or is it all of them? It doesn't matter the insurance plans.
Oh no, the insurance does not matter. Anything that comes over in the feed will pre-populate. And then of course the master insurance list is provided by the customer during initial implementation. And we load all those insurance packages into our system, which is a direct connection to the billing system interface, which there again eliminates any insurance errors.
Okay. And then for the coders, so obviously, they're kind of ensuring the charges that the provider has entered from the provider's point of view. But I'm curious, how can the provider or the billers, how can they kind of see what the doctor has done?
So, when on the charge tab within charge review, the coders are able to see what the providers have entered, or if our AI is turned on and we have passed through, the AI will actually pass through from the active list to the charge tab. And as you can see on my screen right here, we have pre-populated our CPT code based off of the medical documentation, as well as the diagnosis codes. Just like we saw last week with the provider's active list, if additional specificity is available for a diagnosis code based off of the documentation, the coder may actually click on the unspecified word and then make those additional specifications, which are seen within the documentation. And what's really nice about our charge review is the medical documentation is loaded right here within our system. So by navigating to the medical record tab, the user may click on the charge document, which is the document that forced the patient to populate to the provider's list, and is also the document, if AI is turned on, that our system is reading to populate the CPT and diagnosis codes. So when I click on that documentation, I'm actually able to see the medical document that the provider created. And so the coder is then able to go through and review to make any adjustments necessary on this charge tab.
Got it. Nice. So not only is the provider able to see what our AI is doing, but also the medical coders and billers as well.
Absolutely.
Nice. And then how does it like pre-populate the information? Can you go into detail about that?
So the patient demographics that we see on this patient tab, those that information is pre-populated from the ADT or the admit discharge transfer feed we receive from the facility. So the patient demographics that are entered into the EMR pre-populate not only to the provider's active list, but also within this patient tab. And then the insurance information that is received within that as well will populate to the payer tab. Then the medical records, that's going to be the medical decision-making feed, the notes that the providers are actually creating within the EMR, those will populate within the medical record tab.
Got it. Okay, cool. And then what are some, advantage of having unified clinical documentation within the system?
So by having the clinical documentation within MediMobile, the users are not required to bounce from one system to another. Everything is on one screen. So just as you saw, I'm able to pull up my charge tab, review what the providers or our AI has added to the chart, and I can pull up that medical record, and it's all within one system. If I ever needed to extract the records, I'm also able to do so very easily.
Nice. Cool. So it sounds like, we're really automated and the providers in as well as the medical coder in as well, which is pretty cool. And then, yeah, go ahead.
We've also significantly increased the efficiency of the workflow that the billers and coders are seeing. We see times decreased billing and coding by half with our team members that are using the charge review platform, because everything is in one place, so they are able to spend their time fulfilling other tasks.
Right. Cool. And then what are some feedback that you're hearing from customers about our charge review system?
So just like I said a minute ago, it's a significant reduction in the workload for the billers and coders, allowing them to take on other tasks. And then the decrease in billing errors is probably the most significant. As we know, when there are errors in billing, claims will be denied. So we see a decrease in the errors, a decrease in denials, and actually an increase in the revenue that's coming through to the customers that are utilizing our system. The transparency that you see within MediMobile Charge Review with the documentation, as well as the monitoring and audit trails you have, provide that peace of mind while also ensuring compliance regulations set forth by the organization.
Got it. Okay. And then, how does charge review the system help increasing revenue over a long period of time for healthcare facilities?
So you're able to capture and actually process all of those billable services in a much more timely fashion. So you're not worried about losing revenue due to timing, but you also, that reduction of billing errors is going to there again increase the revenue that you're seeing. The streamlines in workflows for faster and more efficient billing also leads to revenue increase and allows you to reallocate resources that are typically spent because of the time it takes to work charges. So you're able to redirect some of that in other areas. By removing the manual entry, utilizing our AI and the automation that we have in place, populating the demographics and the documentation, again, you're reducing time, but you're also increasing the accuracy of what's going into the system. You don't have a human entering the information. It's all coming over from the EMR.
Okay. Yeah, I think charge review is definitely, changing the game for medical coders and billers, especially with people I've talked to recently. They really see the benefit and value of using it, and it's just going to change the game completely. And then, I also want to ask, we talked about what it looks like from maybe an onboarding standpoint with providers, but how about, billers becoming customers with MediMobile? What does that kind of look like from a implementation standpoint?
So for implementation, just like we treat our providers that are being onboarded, they're trained, they have one-on-one training, they have training videos, they have training documentation. The billers and coders are treated the exact same way. We have customizable videos, documentation, and one-on-one training offered several times to ensure that everyone is ready to utilize the system. Speaking to that customization, the statuses that we talked about are completely customizable. And then we also have what are called reason codes, which add to the details per charge. So if maybe a charge is not ready to be verified out to a billing system, a biller or coder can attach a reason code as to why that particular charge needs to be reviewed by another party. So for example, you can see on my screen, I have documentation not present. So if a charge has been manually created by a provider without documentation, but as we know, documentation is required for a claim to be accepted by an insurance company, this particular charge can be placed in a suspended status awaiting the documentation. So there again, we see the efficiency and the reduction of inaccurate claims leaving the system.
Right. Exactly. Okay, cool. This has really been informal and great. I think, for the viewers out there, I'm pretty sure they can see, why this is needed, and how this will definitely increase their revenue over a long period of time, over 50%. So I want to pass this off back to Emily.
Thank you, Lauren and Cameron, for your wonderful discussion on our charge review system and what happens after our AI automated medical coding system creates the charges for our customers. If you're interested in learning more about our AI technology, check out our first episode of our podcast that's available on our YouTube channel. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the MediMobile Podcast. If you want to learn more about our charge review system or speak with a member of our team one-on-one, visit our website, medimobile.com, for information or to book a demo. You're also more than welcome to reach us by email at sales@medimobile.com. We'll see you next time.